problems afflicting our country is the failure of rational discourse. And I will highlight this. Just yesterday, 2 people called me. One, of course, from the South. He said, I heard that you're going to engage in this dialogue. But my presupposition is that the bill itself in the National Assembly is sponsored by somebody from Southwest, as a matter of fact, from the president's state. Now, don't you think that this is President Tinubu's attempt at third term, so that after he's completed his tenure in the presidential democracy, he can now transit to a prime minister? I said, well, I do not dispute this. I believe it's a valid observation. But I pray you come to this forum and raise these observations. It should be taken as some of the issues that can be resolved if we agree that moving or transiting to a parliamentary democracy is better than us. It's better for us, sorry. And the only challenge is that someone is trying to use it in order to further his own personal agenda. I think we can resolve that by just a phrase, not even a proviso in the Constitution that we'll craft after this. And then I got another call from someone who said, can't you see that this thing is led by Honorable Abdul Samad, who is from the Caliphate? They want us to go back to parliamentary democracy so that the North can always produce a prime minister. And that was the problem why we abandoned this system, this parliamentary system of government. I said, well, maybe it's a legitimate point, but I wish you can come to the forum and make this observation. I believe you will agree that that is the only problem, but that the parliamentary democracy is better for us. We can resolve it. So this informs us about how difficult it is in the context of our country to hold a rational discourse such as this. But let's delve into the issues she has raised. I hope I have some time. 2 minutes. I won't be able to say what I want to say in 2 minutes, but let me attempt to say that. You see, everything about societal progress boils down to leadership. And leadership is not a job. It is a responsibility. That is where we get it wrong. Responsibility to take accountability for yourself as a leader, and then to be able to hold those serving for you or with you accountable. It is about ensuring or insisting that everyone around you play according to the rules, which is fairness, and then holding accountable those that do not, which is justice. You see, the major problem with the presidential system of government that we practice now is not the fact that we borrowed it from the US. I can tell you that for free, that those who copied from the American Constitution didn't do a wonderful job. And I got to know this in my undergraduate days. Before I left the university, the thesis I worked on was the vertical and horizontal distribution of powers under the American and Nigerian Constitution, a comparative analysis. That was the topic. And I was supervised from someone who has PhD and an American, Professor Austin. Later, he was Dr. Austin then, when he supervised me. And he made available to me the founding documents, the arguments, the Federalist Papers, all of them at that age. I studied them and saw which part of the American Constitution we took and which one we abandoned. And the problem with the presidential system of government is buried in those differences or derogations that those who copied and created and carved the 1979 Constitution, which we are practicing with some amendment, made. So it is not the American system that we copied 100%. I'll give you 2 examples. In the US, for instance, well, impeachment of the executive is real. It can happen. Even judges can be impeached. And the provision is the House that carries out impeachment vote of the executive and members of the judiciary, why the Senate tries them. And if they are convicted in the Senate, they are removed, and it is real. But in the Nigerian Constitution, Section 143 doesn't provide anything about impeachment. It just mentioned it. Let me make this point and then I'll close there. It just mentioned it because at the end of the day, everything the National Assembly has done, it will be handed over to a committee of 7, they call them people of impeccable character. I don't know where we can find assembled these angels in the country. And then their determination is final. It cannot even be queried by the National Assembly or any court in Nigeria. And then these 7 people of impeccable characters are appointed by the Chief Justice of the Federation, who himself is an appointee of the President. How do you make this thing real, this impeachment of the thing? So without this sanction, sorry, we don't have the Office of the Independent Counsel in Nigeria. Just all this issue of contradictory judgments coming from the court. In the US, it can be dealt with. But in Nigeria, no. Because the power to deal with judges is rests in the NJC. So that is in breach of the laws or rules of natural justice, where the judiciary get to determine what should happen to members of their own profession that are found one thing. And I said this last, maybe to elicit some laughter. At the meeting of Body of Benches after we were done, journalists were trying to interview me about what was happening